How are you doing? I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm not presenting any products. I would like to talk about the myths. I would like to talk about the economy. I would like to talk about the Bitcoin and about the money. Just providing you facts, you making your own decision. My name is Alex Petrov. I was working for Bitfury for 9 long years. I have economical education, I have also technical education, and I was working in banking for a long time. And then I found the Bitcoin. I started thinking Bitcoin is really something interesting, something what I was looking for. Because before then the internet was just appear on the stage, they trying to use existing system to perform payment, and it doesn't work well. So you need different money for internet. And I was thinking what that money can be. So PayPal doesn't look right. Web money doesn't look right as well. So then I found the Bitcoin. I realized it's really interesting concept, and I start digging in. So a lot of people is complaining about the Bitcoin, and they saying Bitcoin is generating a lot of CO2. Bitcoin is a bubble. Bitcoin is bad for environment. It's not profitable, so the Bitcoin is useless for real world. But that's not true. It's just different. People very dependent from their previous experience. The story of horseless car. It's a good example. Then the history was showing our example. Then the first car was invented. The first patent was registered just to put the wooden hose heat on the car. Do you know why? Just to do not scare people who are sitting on the car. Because before they were sitting in the car and they are looking on the horse behind. And the patent was registering exactly the concept. It was driven like horse head behind the car, just to do not scare horses, just to do not scare people. What I'm also like, it's a picture. It's picture fear of electricity. There was a lot of cartoons when the electricity was invented. A lot of people was very scary because something new is going on. A lot of wires, a lot of people was joking about wearing the isolated suits, a lot of wires, and one of the picture like fear of electricity because of New York, the one electrician was dead performing the electrical works, and the Times was reading a huge article how electricity can be harmful. But that's topical. Then the absolutely the same happens in Bitcoin. Then people are meeting something new, they became afraid. They are trying to find the analogies. They are trying to find the analogies from their previous experience one-to-one, but there is no analogies. It's absolutely different features. It's absolutely different word and absolutely different rules. And you cannot find the analogy one-to-one. And the same was happened then the whale oil was fall down and was replaced by oil. The same happens then the people invented the cars. The same happens then the people invented the steam machines and railroads, and the same electricity. And the same happens right now with Bitcoin. People doesn't know how to understand the Bitcoin. They are trying to build the analogies from the previous experience on the Bitcoin, and they're failing, and it's working absolutely on different principles. Then they're converting the physical assets from electronic form, from a physical form to electronic form. It's allow us to lower the cost of storage. It's higher capacity. It's lower transitional cost. Like if you would like to move like 10 kilos of gold for 10,000 kilometers, it will cost you a lot. But if you're converting it in electronic form, it will be fast. The same about the paper. If you're sending the paper mail, it's taking a lot just to transfer it for 10,000 kilometers. Long delay, a lot of problems. But if you're using emails, it's much faster, but it's getting you a lot of additional pros and cons. It's increasing the speed of transfer. It's increasing simplicity of handling. It's adding the new features. It's easy to processing, but it's different. It's not analogous one-to-one. It's the same like people was making mistake, like then I'm using the fax. It's the same like sending the post mail. No, it's not. It's absolutely different. In physical world, it's very hard to copy object. In the electronic form, it's very easy to copy object and very hard to detect which object was original one. Then people from the financial world, from the economical perspective, trying to evaluate the Bitcoin, they're making typical mistake. Before, it was very easy for us. If you have like paper money, like 100 bills, and you have 10,000 bills, so you're multiplying bills by numbers, that's matching. If you have the gold, you're multiplying by amounts, and you also can evaluate the market cap. But if you're talking about the Bitcoin, it's more complex. There is a cost of infrastructure. There is a cost of infrastructure, CapEx and OpEx, operational expenses and capital expenses. There is also adding the benefits if you have better use cases, more competitive advantage. There is also all the businesses who running the operations on top of the Bitcoin or on top of the blockchain. It's also all the investments. If you're investing in developers, if developers know the product, know how to build the product, it's also adding the cost and value for a blockchain. It's also community, how many people are already using the product. Then the Facebook was coming for IPO. They also evaluating amount of users who are using the Facebook because it's potential buyers or sellers, and that's creating the market. The cost of the physical assets is not comparable if you're talking from the physical assets, converting them to electronic form, but there is some expenses still existing. The paper, the regular paper, just 1 kilo of a paper require approximately 700 liters of clean, pure water. It's also require a lot of energy, approximately 28 kilowatts of energy just to create 1 kilogram of a paper. And the same about all the rest products. They practically all based on the energy, on how we are using energy. Then the manufacturing something, the utilizing the energy, it's not possible to live without electrical energy. And our paper traces is also have the side on the electrical side. According to Statista, the average bank in Europe per one customer wasting approximately 150 kilos of the paper per year, and over 200 in the US because of regulations and different reports. And it's huge amounts. And if you're thinking about how we can optimize it, how we can lower the energy expenses and make it more clean and efficient, the electronic form just came in your mind. Some of the process can be optimized. What the efficiency? On the left side, you can see the typical fabric on China. So they are scratching the jeans, 5 employees working and scratching the jeans. They are spending 5 minutes just to create 1 pair. And in result, there is a product of the process. But on the right side, it's the laser machine. It's creating 6 pairs of jeans just in 40 seconds. The difference is huge. It's automatization. It's no more human resources utilized. It's more precise. It's allow you to create the new objects at more high level. It's higher efficiency, it's higher speed, and it's better accuracy. Why I'm talking about the efficiency? The efficiency is a critical and playing huge role in our history. The Ford was invented the assembly line, and his innovation allowed to create 1,000 cars per day, minimizing the cost of production, increasing the quality of the products. Right now, they're manufacturing approximately 1,700 or 2,000 cars per day using automatization. It also allows us to decrease the price, increase the quality, and make it much, much faster. And what the result of this increase of quality and increase of the manufacturing amounts is efficiency and it's innovation. It's always driven by innovation. If you can see the graph on the top, it's car waves. Car waves was invented by Russian-American scientist Kondratiev. He was economist and he was described, but all the economic growth was motivated by some innovations, like steam machines, economic growth, the railroad, economic growth, the electricity, economic growth. And the same, I think, happens right now. Right now, we are in 50 years stagnation, and our economy was seriously broken. And Bitcoin can change a lot of things. And right now, we are coming exactly to a good example. So I would like to talk about the power consumption and efficiency, because there is a lot of complaints what Bitcoin is consuming a lot of electrical energy, it's wasting a lot of energy. Your guesses. How many gasoline is consumed by scooter? How many gasoline was consumed by car? And how many gasoline was consumed by heavy truck? And what is your guess? So it's looking like the scooter is consuming less from all of them. The car is consuming like a little bit more. And the heavy truck is consuming like 35, 40 liters per 100 kilometers. But what about the efficiency? If we need to like drive, take the passengers, or just move the different goods by weight, can you name the most efficient one? Your guesses. Do you think is the scooter? Can you raise the hands? Who think the car is more efficient one? And who think the heavy truck is more efficient one? You're right. It's not looking the obvious, because then you're looking on the numbers. The scooter is consuming less than 1.5 liter. But if we need to, if we're required to move some goods or just take the passengers, then the scooter is less efficient. And the numbers became really huge. If you would like to move like 35 tons, it will take 276 liters per 100 kilometers by scooter. It's not efficient and it's not fast. And the same about the passengers. The small cars are also consuming a lot, but you should also count they have their own weight, and the numbers is still huge. But if you're looking on the heavy truck, it's still consuming 35, 40 liters. It's most efficient one. And the difference is approximately 78 times. It's huge. It's looking like a huge truck. It's looking like a huge numbers for us, 40 liters per 100 kilometers. But in results, it's more efficient one. Do you have any guess how much fuel consuming airplanes versus the heavy truck? What is your guesses? Do you think the airplane is more efficient or less efficient? Who think the airplane is more efficient? You're right. If you're talking about the long distances, the airplane consuming even less. It's consuming approximately like the average car. So it's 12 liters per 100 kilometers if you're counting per passengers. And if you're talking about the train, it's also looking like heavy train consuming 600 liters per 100 kilometer. But the difference is huge. The train was able to take 120,000 tons. and it's more efficient. The ships is slow, the train is also slow, but they are consuming less energy. And the difference, if you're comparing them to railroads, to regular cars, it's approximately 4,000 times. If you can comparing them to heavy truck, the difference is only 100 times. But the railroad is most efficient one. The airplanes, it's different and a little bit more complicated because you should calculate also amount of fuel what you're taking for airplane. If you're traveling for long distances, it will be efficient. But if you're flying for 1,000 kilometers, taking off, landing off, it will consume more energy because exactly taking it in the air, airborne, consuming a lot of energy. And they came to golden triangle. Why we are talking about the energy efficiency? There is universal rule what is working through all the universe. You can build something good, you can build something cheap, or you can build something fast. And if you take in the analogy, so it's a universal engineering rule what you can apply on the blockchain, or you can apply to a car. You can build the cheap car, but it will not be fast and it will be not secure. You can build a tank. It will be secure, but it will not be fast and it will not be cheap. And absolutely the same happens in the blockchain. Then people are promising you cheap transactions and very fast transactions. Maybe they are not right in some positions. Because if you're getting the very fast transactions and very cheap, so they will not be secure. Or if they secure, but they are not fast, then they can be cheap. And it's always one excluding the other one. In the mining, we are using these special chips. A lot of people are thinking the ASIC was invented by miners, but that's not. The ASIC was invented in 1967. And the ASIC is exactly the chips what allow us to create the mobile phones. All Wi-Fi networks, all LTE, 3G, 4G is using the ASICs. And practically even CPU what they're using, they are also some kind of ASIC based. But CPU have a flexibility. You can write the program. And this writing the program ability to be flexible also has a cost. It's not very fast, but it's flexible because you can write the programs. And if you're looking on the triangles, there is always compromise. It can be cheaper, it can be faster, or it can be more efficient. And the same happens in the Bitcoin. So the ASIC is most efficient one. And the Bitcoin is using the ASICs just to make all the networks secure. They are processing all the transactions. And efficiency and difference between the CPU and the ASIC is huge. If you can look on the table, so the difference between the CPU, what they are using, and the ASIC, what they are using, they are approximately 1,000 times faster, but they also consuming approximately 50,000 times less energy. Just think in terms of the Visa network. If you're building data centers and you're processing transactions of a payment, but you're using the regular servers, you're using the regular CPU, it will consume a lot of energy. And this is what happens right now. A lot of the banks, they're consuming energy. A lot of people who are sitting and working in the banks, they also need energy. There is a cooling, there is a warming. All the physical protection, it's require a lot of energy. Just 3.5 millions of ATMs in the world, they're consuming more what all Bitcoin mining is consuming right now. According to statistics, Statista are describing like 40 to 15% of all electrical energy they are spending just to support operation of our financial system. And Bitcoin consuming 0 0.02%. It's more efficient in times. Yeah, it's not obvious, but if you're looking on the numbers, you can realize it. The difference between data centers in the Bitcoin and data centers in regular industry is also huge. There is power unit efficiency, the term what is describing how efficient your equipment, how many energy consumed by servers and how many energy is consumed by cooling equipment in a relation in between. So the normal standard data center in the Europe consuming 1.7 PUE. It's meaning 70% of energy is spent just to cool down all the equipment. But Bitcoin mining, they build data centers absolutely differently. They are not using any cooling equipment. And they even decreasing all potential losses. And they're using the cold air to cool the equipment. And in result, the average numbers of a Bitcoin mining is 1.1. It's almost twice better. But this is not all. In Bitcoin, there is even existing number 0.98. How that's possible? They are selling the heat from the servers. They are warming water, and like in Georgia and like in Czech Republic, they are sending the heat just to warm the tomato growing farms. And this I'm count like more efficient and more comfortable way for our environment. According to statistics, only 72% in the Europe is used from like the normal sources of energy for data centers. All the rest energy is not very clean, and there is a lot of losses, and there is a lot of conversions, but also coming like an expenses. And in Europe, only 56% is sustainable and a little bit more clean energy. In US, it's still numbers quite higher because they are still using a lot of fossil fuel and there is a lot of CO2 in result. But Bitcoin mining using approximately 87% of clean energy because it's mostly hydro. It's mostly most cheaper energy, and they are ready to move their farms more closer to sources. This is minimizing also all losses. They're getting a lot of losses of electrical energy in transition. So then you're transferring the electric energy from one point to another one point. You're losing from 16 till 24% just in transition. In Europe, they're calculating like average numbers, 16% of all electrical energy is lost in wires during transmission. But there is also conversion. You're also using transformers just to lower the electricity or upper the electricity voltage, and there is also not 100% KPD. So you're losing approximately 20%. Bitcoin is trying, and Bitcoin Farm is trying to avoid any losses. They are moving data centers close to sources, and this is also excluding any losses during the transition of electricity. They're also using more efficient equipment. They're using more efficient data centers. They are ready to migrate for points there is electricity generated but not used. And this making Bitcoin is in times more efficient. Why Bitcoin is different if you're comparing Bitcoin to financial system? So if you're talking about the Visa network, and I quite often hear then people are comparing the Visa and the Bitcoin. The Visa, first of all, is not the currency. The Visa is a settlement system. It's clearing system. What meaning clearing system? It doesn't perform transactions immediately. It's just verifying you have a balance to perform transaction. The real transaction happens 2, 3, 5 days later. In Bitcoin, final transaction happens after 10, 15, 17 minutes. Do you know what the difference? 2, 3 days and 10, 15 minutes. So if we just convert the numbers, 2, 3 days, it's approximately 2,880 minutes. And in Bitcoin, in 10 minutes. So 2,000 times immediately. the difference is huge. Bitcoin transactions is final in 10 minutes. And Visa is not able to operate by itself. It's not the currency. They still need the bank. They still need financial system. They're just connecting the banks and providing you ability to perform transaction. And it's looking like transaction happens immediately, but it's not. It's still relying on the old system, and it's still very, very slow. And another one point, the old Visa network is single dimensional. And this is what the typical mistake people do. In Visa, one source, one destination, one transaction per second. Quite easy. You're taking one source account, you're sending to destination account, and it's easy to measure how many transactions you can perform. But Bitcoin is multidimensional. It's different. So it's meaning you can take from 5,000 different accounts balances, pay 2,000 invoices, pay 10,000 salaries, and it will be just single transaction. It doesn't need to perform 2,000 transactions like in Visa. You can just take one transaction and do times more. That's add a lot of flexibility. And combining with different technology, we can also build more efficient system. For example, Visa is a transport. It's not existing by itself. So it's not a currency once again. It just layer on top of a banking system. And if you would like to compare Visa and something, then you should take the Visa and Bitcoin Lightning. And then difference will be in times more higher. In Visa, regular transactions taking 13, 15 seconds per one transaction. In Lightning, it's millisecond. It's 10,000 times difference. It's huge. So false state about fraudulent money. So if you can see QR code, you can just take a picture and check. I'm not presenting the numbers by myself. This is official report from UK government, National Risk Assessment, and they create a table, and that table listing all the banks, accountants, legal services, and there is a Bitcoin. The digital cash and the Bitcoin is the lowest point. It's the lowest point of risk. They are still performing KFC and IML using the human resources, and the amount of mistakes is really huge. Then the banking and financial systems start to implementing AML and KFC. It's impact the cost for end user and approximately increase it 2-3 times. But do you know how many IML is catching real fraud? 0.1%. It's costing 10% of all turnover of money, but it's catching very, very few of real fraud transactions. And it will not work because it's still human. The human not able to check everything properly. The human is still making mistake. The human is still depending from the emotions. And this is making also Bitcoin in times more efficient. Thank you very much. My research and all works was supported also by Sexio and also by GMT Token. They also supporting that conference. You can see GMT logo here. And by the way, GMT is performing lottery right now on their stand. You can take the paper, fill, and maybe win if you're lucky. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, you can ask, and I will be ready to answer. Thank you very much.